Thanks very much, Mr Mayor, and I appreciate the genuine acknowledgement and concern you've shown to those affected by noise and vibration in their homes. It is the residential noise and vibration that I want to focus on. And I would really like to emphasise also the impact, living with noise and vibration of trains going under your house every few minutes in their homes, coming through walls, beds, floors, in some cases all night, and can have a huge impact on sleep, and obviously that has a resulting impact for many on their mental health. And I think, to be honest, Londoners in general will be quite shocked if they knew in those homes where they are affected how bad it can be. And I would also like to acknowledge, and I'm sure all residents affected would as well, this is obviously a genuine and complex problem. No one expects this to be solved overnight. The solutions in each case are also very complex. But the feedback we get, and for those Assembly members I think who are dealing with us on a regular basis, is that TfL's approach isn't getting better, it's worsening. So I'd like to specifically say, so last month I wrote to Andy Lord direct. In that letter I asked for a significant improvement in the quality and quantity of data. I asked for specific data based on the residents' casework that we dealt with. So an improvement in the quality and quantity of data shared with Assembly members, and therefore that could be shared with the residents to monitor the issue, look at the measures being taken and specifics on complaints. So last week I received an email, not from Andy Lord, didn't get a letter back from Andy Lord, despite the fact we put a lot of effort into that letter and making sure it was really comprehensive. Just an email from TfL's Government Relations turning down the majority of the requests for data, and it contained the reassuring phrase: we're fully committed to tackling tube noise, but as you've said, resources remain constrained. And I have to say that catch-all phrase that anyone dealing with tube noise, it strikes horror into your heart, the data-led approach. Well, if it's all this data, I don't quite know why they can't just share it with us. But there's the contradiction. They say they're fully committed, but that resources are constrained. Now, from where I'm sitting, over the last 5 years I've been Assembly member, I don't feel that TfL are adequately allocating resources to this issue that genuinely is causing misery for a group of Londoners. You've said about the rail grinding budget, and that's good. I'll talk more about the data as well so we can see the impact of that. But can you commit again to looking at the overall allocation of resources they use to manage the issue of tube noise?
Chair, can I say, there's not a lot the member has said that I would disagree with in terms of how unacceptable it is. And I'm particularly sensitive to the misery this causes those residents affected by this. Just so she's aware, we've also been contacted in my office by Assembly Member Harani, Assembly Member Ahmed, Assembly Member Moema and Assembly Member Cooper, frustrated, like you, at the lack of proactiveness on the part of TfL. So a couple of things just to say by way of background, not as a rebuttal, is there was progress being made in terms of dealing with this issue in the years leading up to the pandemic. I've got figures for the amount of money invested. That in itself is not a good criteria because you can become more efficient and spend less money. And then there's a massive plummeting of maintenance work in terms of pounds and pence spent, which I think is one of the reasons why things are and appear to be worse subsequently, because you've had the years of inaction and so forth, and we hope to improve that. The substantive point she makes is in relation to the lack of transparency. That is an easier problem to solve, I would say, than the issue of the technology to solve the problem. So I know as a consequence of my suggesting this, the TfL meet every few months with members of the Assembly. What I'll do is ensure that the information they provide is far, far, far more detailed than is currently received. In prepping for this over the weekend, I looked at what information they provide. I'll make sure they provide, in addition, information on what actually in real time rail grinding activities taking place and over the next 6 months, the track renewal programmes, alternative noise reduction measures that are being considered or in delivery, and as she said, a constituency level breakdown is what is really important of the noise level complaints and what action is being taken. I'm more than happy to get that in tray, forgive the pun, as soon as possible, because, as I said, the substance is one issue, but the lack of transparency is a very easily solvable issue. And my promise to her is I'll make sure today I'll speak to the Commissioner's team to try and get some movement there.
Thanks. I do really appreciate that. I would like to just emphasise why it's so important, though, because it just feels like Transport for London don't recognise the value of clear data on the issue has for residents. They're living it with every day. They understand it, to be honest, probably better than TfL in some cases, and they want a dialogue that says this is working, this is not in real time, but as it's happening, rather than waiting, frankly, months for responses, and then when the responses come back, they don't ask the they don't answer the questions the residents have asked. They'll give a general picture of what's going on, and so those experiences, that actual genuine engagement, makes such a difference. And obviously, I was elected 2021 in the pandemic already. We were already seeing those restrictions on funding. So something has happened in terms of the way they deal with these complaints and their openness. And it's not just about funding, although I do think we need to look at the resources. So it's that approach. For instance, you've mentioned a forward plan of rail grinding for 6 months that I asked. So the response I got says, well, we can't do that because it's only planned 8 weeks in advance. Fine. Did they offer to tell us 8 weeks in advance? No, they didn't answer that at all. So it's that approach that makes residents and, frankly, us think that TfL are trying to hide what they're doing. So tell us what they're doing. Let us see. No one thinks this is easy. We just want to work together. So if you can really emphasise to TfL that transparency, but also in terms of their response to residents, be specific, be open, and honestly, if they haven't got enough people to respond in decent time, then they need to put more people on it, because this isn't going away.
Yeah, Chair, what I also take away from this, by the way, again, there's nothing she said that I would disagree with. That this is actually a canary in the mine. If TfL aren't responding to members of the Assembly with information and transparency in a manner that is befitting, it begs the question, are they responding to residents in terms of this issue? And so it's really important for us to proceed. And my promise to her is that I'll write to all the Assembly, if that's okay, because obviously I suspect it's an issue for all members of the Assembly in relation to forward programme of meetings with the Assembly, what additional information will be provided. And I can't see a reason why the 8 weeks programme can't be provided. I take the point about when you get the tracks and stuff. But Chair, let me take this away with your permission and come back to all the Assembly. Can I end by how I began, by thanking the member for the assiduous way she's responded, she's dealt with this, but also the collegiate way she wants to move forward. As I said, we all want TfL to succeed. We can't afford residents having this sort of misery when it can be ameliorated.
Much appreciated, thanks. We may talk about this again, I'm sure. Back to you, Chair. Well, maybe even to just say that it's improved. That would be positive, wouldn't it? Back to you, Chair.